Hey everyone, Patrick Scott here. Today I just wanted to share a story. There's a topic that just keeps coming up. I've been talking to a friend of mine who runs this cookie shop in Massachusetts, another friend of mine who runs an Instagram marketing business. And it's just funny, I notice I keep having a very similar advice across the board from all these different people that I talk to. And to understand that, I just want to go back to when I moved to New York in 2012. I was a software engineer for a couple of years at this point as a UX engineer. I was working at a startup and we were acquired. And around that time, a company from New York reached out offering to pay double what I was making. So I was like, yeah, I'll move to New York. Sounds great. And the company that I started working for at that point was called LiquidNet. And LiquidNet is kind of known for inventing something called a dark pool, which is where all these different institutional investors can scrape their order books and scrape their sell intent and their buy intent, and it puts it in this big like matching pool. So it says like institution X is looking to sell 1 million shares of ABC, and company Y and company Z are looking to buy 500,000 shares each. So it matches these intents in the big blocks, and then they execute it. So it eliminates a lot of volatility in the market because things are happening kind of anonymously behind the scenes, and like they're being matched and paired like with this like anonymous information essentially. So you don't go out and like tell the market that you're trying to make these big moves, and then you can make like match them up and execute them before it affects the market. So it's a project for institutional investors, like people like JP Morgan and stuff. Not a layman's tool. But the CEO of this company is this guy named Seth Marin. And if you look up his name, you'll find that he's listed in the Forbes 400 richest people in the world. And he's a literal billionaire with multiple billions of dollars. So I was a little starstruck. I mean, I from a small town in Massachusetts, like a billionaire. Like I'd never met a billionaire before. I don't even know if maybe a millionaire, because that company I was working at just got acquired, so I think the CEO became one. But to meet a billionaire, and in Forbes 400 richest people, like that was some next level stuff. So I worked there for several months before I ever actually like got to talk to him much. Even though the office, it was multiple floors in the Midtown building, and uh, his office, it was this big glass wall room. It was all, there's no real walls, it was all glass. So it had this very like transparent vibe, and you'd see him walking around the office, and uh, he actually like took the subway a bunch of days too, which is really funny because like you'd expect like some big rich like bigwig to have private cars everywhere, but no, he was like actually a really down to earth like cool guy. Though he was very busy, as you may imagine, so his time wasn't really available. So after working there for, I don't know, probably 12 months or so, it must have been, I finally got the opportunity to like have a conversation with him, and this was after like we'd launched a product that I'd been working on, and uh, he wanted to say congratulations to each member of that team for kind of working on his vision and etc. So I remember being nervous, like what am I gonna say to him, like how many opportunities do you get to like have this chance to like talk to a literal billionaire. And I decided that I just wanted to ask him advice like about business. And so we talked for a little while, but there's one thing that he said that just really, really stood out to me. He said, the most profitable thing that you can do is sell more to your current customers. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But common sense isn't really that common, is it? Like, it's when you actually have a solid plan and foundation, and understand why and the psychology, that these things really start making sense. And for me, I know he said this to me, but I didn't. It didn't sink into my head until years later. I went and started a company, and I was just so hyper focused on what I was building, and I figured if I went and build something awesome, I'd get all these customers, and I was like, I'll build it and they will come. But I was focusing on the wrong thing, and I think the more subtle message from what he said is that the who is really the important person. Who is your customer, and how can you serve them? Because they made a dark pool, right? Their clients were institutional investors. How can they better serve institutional investors? There's a ton of ways, There's tools for managing your trades on your desktop. There's private equity. There's new types of investments. There's bond markets, right? And these are all different services that the who of that company is interested in. And beyond acquiring them for that first product, everything else that is sold to them is pure profit. There's not a lot of additional marketing costs. You have an email list, you own their contacts, you can reach out to them whenever you want. You already have permission from getting them into your business. They're from acquiring them as a customer as the first time. So from that point, you just sell them more things. You keep making new products, keep monetizing that base. As another example, one that I often bring up too when I tell this story of Seth Marin, and another analogy I like to make is McDonald's. So everyone knows what McDonald's is. Obviously, it's an incredibly successful business, and they sell dollar cheeseburgers. And McDonald's spends about 83 cents, and I may be wrong on these figures, but let's just say they spend about 83 cents marketing cheeseburgers and getting you to come in and to buy a cheeseburger. So once you come in and you give them your dollar for their cheeseburger, they had spent 83 cents on you to get you there, and that means they made about 17 cents profit per cheeseburger. Now, what do once they sell you your cheeseburger? They say, do you want fries with that? Do you want a soda with that? Because everything after that cheeseburger, after what they spent on marketing, is pure profit. So you go extra $2 for a fry and a drink, that's now a $3 purchase instead of a $1 purchase. And it takes your profit from 17 cents to $2.17, which is, over 10 times the amount of profit from the same customer. So if you have a business, you need to be thinking about who is it that you're serving, and what other ways can you serve them? What happens when they get your product? Once they have, every solution introduces new problems. So once they have the solution that you're selling, just by having that, they're going to have new problems. For example, if you are selling websites that will get them, or if you're selling them a custom-made website that will allow them to sell their product, which is funnels, for example. Let's stick with marketing terms here. So a funnel is something that will allow you to just lead customers through a set of web pages and advance them at each step to the next thing that they need. Well, if someone has a website that is meant to sell things, then the next they have a new problem. They now need people to use that website, right? They need traffic. So the next product that would be great to sell them is something that gets them traffic, right? Because giving them the website created the problem that they need traffic. So you can create a product to solve that for them as well. Once they have traffic, they're going to have new problems, which is they need measurements, they need analytics, they need optimizations of their funnel, they need to tweak and split test and etc. So, lesson is focus on the who and who your customer is, and what can you do to serve them, and once you serve them, what other problems are created by that, and what other ways can you solve those problems as well, because that will allow you to create more and more products for that same who. And as Seth Marin said, the most valuable thing that you can do is sell more to your existing customers. So, my name is Patrick Scott. Thanks for listening. I'd love to have you follow me, and I have tons of advice of what it's like to start a company as a technical co-founder. I've had 2 startups of my own, one successful, and I'm working on the 3rd now. So head on over to Twitter and follow me at Pat_Scott. And I write a ton on Medium as well. So head on to medium.com/@PatrickLeet. That is all. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.